What is up, awesome people of the internet? SEC play is almost here, and we got some big games to look forward to, some potential upsets, and some just hard-fought matches. So let's get into it. SEC play officially starts on January the 4th, and it will run through March the 3rd. Now, here is how the conference play works. So each of the 14 SEC teams will play a total of 16 games, 8 at home and 8 on the road, with each team playing each other at least once. Now, before the season started, the media had a preseason poll and they picked LSU to come out on top of the SEC. They were followed by South Carolina, Tennessee, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State. And oh, half times have changed. LSU is no longer the top dogs of the SEC. That is right, they have been dethroned by the South Carolina Gamecocks. You also have Texas A&M, who's been looking pretty strong so far in their non-conference games. Same for Alabama, Mississippi State, and Vanderbilt. And let's not forget Tennessee, who was looking pretty strong. Again, they were number 3 in the preseason poll, but then as the season started, you saw different cracks start to show. Rickea Jackson got injured, and she missed several games, and Tennessee struggled. And now Rickea Jackson is back, but Tennessee is now without their starting point guard in Destiny Wells. So this is a huge deal for Tennessee, and it'll be interesting to see how Tennessee plays in conference play, because this is not the same Tennessee team that we saw to begin the season. So yeah, the preseason top 5 and the current top 5 don't quite mix, which if you've been paying attention to any part of women's college basketball this season, you know that the preseason media polls were dead wrong. They were wrong about so many things, not just the SEC. And with pretty much all the non-conference games out the way, we have over 100 SEC conference games to look forward to, which is a whole lot of basketball to pay attention to. And I'm going to tell you some of the biggest SEC games that should be on your watch list, so you don't have to cram over 100 games into a span of 2 months. And we start with the biggest game of the year, which is on January the 25th, when South Carolina takes on LSU in Baton Rouge, y'all. The game will be available on ESPN, and the game starts at 7 p.m. Now, I really believe that whoever wins this game is going to win the national championship. At first, I thought that LSU had the edge over South Carolina, but with Samaya Smith being out for the rest of the year, Kateri Poole leaving the squad, Haley Van Lith dealing with plantar fasciitis, it leaves LSU looking pretty vulnerable. And then on the other end of the scale, you have South Carolina, who's just looking like a complete squad from start to finish, looking like a complete squad. They have Raven Johnson, who is doing a really good job as a point guard this season, as a starting point guard this season. You have Tina Powell, their three-point assassin, who is just, this girl can light it up from the 3, and to me is the most dangerous three-point shooter in women's college basketball. But this girl can do way more than just shoot some 3-pointers. So, huge asset on that front. You also have Camila Cardoso in the paint that can just, do her thing, block lots of shots and all that stuff. You have Chloe Kitts, who lately has been looking like a really, really good player. And I'm not even mentioning some of the players, other players on the team, players who have been coming off the bench and sort of doing their thing this season. So yes, this is going to be a game, and it's going to be a fire game at that. So I have a question for you guys. Who do you think is going to win this game? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. All right, now some other big games to take a look at include Florida versus Kentucky. That game is on February the 18th at 11 a.m. on the SEC network. And the reason why I'm calling out this game is because we get to see a Florida assistant coach and former #1 WNBA pick, Ryan Howard, face her former team and coach. And so that is a matchup that, for sure, Florida likely will be the victor of this matchup. But it'll be fun to see Ryan Howard face her former team. So if you want to watch that, it is on February the 18th at 11 a.m. All right, now moving on to Texas A&M, who have a 3-game stretch that to me is going to be crucial for their entire season. They play against LSU and then Tennessee and then South Carolina. So yeah, for sure, this is a must watch. Coach Joni Taylor is really starting to solidify herself as a coach to watch in the women's game, consistently helping to elevate her team play. And it really helps that the Aggies have a certified baller in Janiah Barker on the squad. Watching the Aggies go through that 3-game stretch is really going to help us figure out where this squad actually is. So the games are January the 11th at 7 p.m. on SEC Plus versus LSU. January the 14th at 4 p.m. on SEC Plus versus Tennessee. And January the 21st at 4 p.m. on the SEC Network versus South Carolina. Now, I think it's very much likely that Texas A&M will lose versus LSU and South Carolina. However, to me, what's going to tell a lot is how much they lose by and like what that game play actually looks like, because Janiah Barker can hold her own against the best, some of the best in the country, and she's really going to prove it in those 2 games versus LSU and South Carolina. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, so those 3 games for sure, highly recommend you guys watch. And on January the 4th, we have Mississippi State, who plays Vanderbilt. That game is at 6:30 on SEC Plus. And then also on January the 28th, we have Tennessee, who play Ole Miss. That game is at 2 p.m. on SEC Plus. Now, the reason why I'm calling out these games is because I think these games really are a part of the battle for the next top tier of SEC play. You have the top dogs, at 1 and 2, which is South Carolina and LSU. And then after that, you kind of have the next up sort of bubble teams that are really good, but they're not necessarily at South Carolina and LSU's level. Those teams are, in my opinion, Tennessee, Texas A&M, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, and Alabama. And I am very much interested to see how these teams play against each other and who will come out on top, because that 3-5 or 3-6 ranking is going to be pretty tight between these squads. And so it's going to be some really, really good basketball when we see them play against each other. So I highly, highly, highly recommend y'all watch those games. You really can't go wrong watching LSU or South Carolina play any of those 2nd tier teams. So maybe there's some upsets afoot. I hope so. I really do. I think it just would be great basketball to see an upset. I think the likely team that can get an upset is LSU. Like I think it could be likely for them to lose in SEC play. South Carolina likely won't lose in SEC play, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, guys, those are the games you should be looking out for during SEC regular season conference play. In order to watch all of the SEC games, you need access to ESPN, the SEC Network, and SEC Plus, which SEC Plus is free as long as you have the SEC Network. So you get one. If you got one, you get both. So that's kind of cool for those who have not watched SEC Plus. Know that all you have to do is sign in with your cable provider and you'll be able to watch it for free, assuming you have the SEC Network. And after regular season play, all 14 teams will wrap up the season with SEC tournament play, which is from March the 6th to March the 10th. Now, the tournament will take place in South Carolina for the 7th time, might I add. All teams will play in the tournament, but their seeding will be based on their play during conference regular season. So that is the video, guys. I am curious, out of the games I mentioned, which ones are on your must-watch list? Also, do you think we will see any upsets during SEC conference play? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Continue to watch this channel because I will have updates on the rest of the conferences, the Pac-12, Big Ten, Big East, Big 12, and lots of other conferences as well. So if you want to know what's going on with all the different conferences, just check in with me and I'll let you know. I'll be releasing those videos shortly. So thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have not liked this video yet, I would like to ask you to please hit that like button. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you doing? Subscribe to the channel, join the crew of awesome people like you who love women's college basketball. So if that's you and you want to have a platform to sort of talk about it, talk about your fandom, join me, hit that subscribe button, and let's get active in the comments. Until next time, guys. Bye.